Hey, Brenda Lee here with Modig Leadership. Today, I want to share with you our most favorite tidbits about communication. People love our communication segments, and I don't know if it's just, I don't know why. I really don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's just refreshing, it's something different, or it's finally just getting called out because we live in such a tech era, right, where people are on their phone and people aren't present. And so that's tip number one is presence. Anytime you're communicating with someone, you must be present. Put your stinking phone down. Put your watch on silent, right? Like mine just went off and I didn't even realize it. The only reason I noticed is because I looked at it, where it's going off and I don't even know. I set aside, that's a whole other subject on time management and how these phones cause us to be ADD. We're so unproductive when we get on these phones. We get on there for one thing and next thing you know, we were doing 18 other things. Now, I get that sometimes it's work and we're getting things accomplished, and we're also so scattered in our thought process and our energy, we're not focused in getting things done. When we're focused and we're present, we're able to be much more efficient. And you guys, it really improves your memory. So if you're having a serious conversation or somebody is bringing some idea into your office or they've got a challenge that they need your help solving, getting really present helps you solve the problem much more efficient because you're focused. Your memory of the situation is heightened and you're able to problem solve in ways that you couldn't have before when you're totally distracted, okay? And so it's really, really critical that being present, you're looking them in the eye, you're listening intently, and communication isn't just about communication. It's about your listening skills and your ability to hear what they have to say. I can't tell you how many corporate meetings I sit in on where someone has a problem or an issue and there are other team members already trying to solve and answer the problem. You haven't even heard what the whole problem is, but people jump to conclusions. In our mind, we're thinking 8 steps ahead, especially high achievers and C-suite people, right? That's just the way that we're operated. We are thinking 8 steps ahead. Couple that with any kind of ADD or a high driver or super high energy, and they really truly are trying to solve the problem before, because time is of the essence in their mind, right? The faster you go, the more you speak, the quicker we can get through it, and the quicker we'll solve the problem, and the sooner I can move on to all the other things that I need to. But when we're doing that, we're not even hearing the full problem. So that communication level, even from the other person's party, you have a responsibility of communication to shut up and listen, right? Sit there and listen, let them get everything out, and ask the question, okay, is there anything else you want to share with me about this before we dive in? When you ask that question, that really gives them, they're like, oh, like people, it's so funny. People kind of rock back on their heels when we say that. They're like, oh, you actually heard me. It causes them to feel valued and heard. And that is critical when you're communicating with people, okay? When you ask that question, and then you can move into the solution. But being fully present as you do this is absolutely critical, okay? So you're listening to understand and not to solve the problem. When you listen to understand and you come from that mindset of understanding versus I've got the solution, I'm going to get this solved, yada, yada, whatever. When you come seeking to understand the other person's perspective, it just radically changes the whole conversation. They know and sense that you're actually caring about what they're having to say. You're not trying to just dismiss them or get to the fastest answer so they get out the door and everybody's moving on. They feel heard, they feel valued, they feel like you actually give a darn, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to the core of it. And that empowers them to take the steps and take the initiative to come with the solution. I say all the time with my corporate clients, we train their employees, do not come to my office with a challenge. We say challenge instead of problem. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't come to my office with a challenge unless you've already come up with a solution. It might not be the right solution, might not be the solution we go with. It might not be effective in any way, but you take ownership and you take the responsibility to come up with a solution first before you come in and you bother me, quote unquote, with this challenge that you have, right? Because CEOs, again, we're high achievers. We're moving and we're shaking all the time, and time is of the essence. And so when you do this, you're equipping your employees, and here's what you're doing. You're empowering them to critically think. It is so, critical thinking is just freaking half dead at this point, especially in our country, across the world. It just blows my mind that people are not asking questions or not asking why. Why are we doing what we're doing? We're not looking at evidence. We're not digging in. We're just accepting what people say, and we're just doing whatever we have to do. And it's not to say that what they say isn't always bad, but we're just not asking the question, and it's just ridiculous. So when you allow people the space to come in And you don't judge them and chastise them for not having the right solution, but you're empowering them to think, you're empowering them to get creative, and you're putting the responsibility back on them to come up with a solution within their own department, which is so important. Now, when they come in, you don't chastise them if it's the wrong solution. You say, thank you so much for your ideas, and we're going to go with this. So that brings me into my third point of the words that you use really matter. So we don't say but, we say and, right? So instead of saying, thank you so much for your solution, but it's not going to work, right? Like instantly, what does that do? How do you feel? How did your physiology just shift when I said that, right? You kind of like, people kind of get put back. There's a pit in their stomach. Oh, I failed. Like I'm not good enough. On and on. All these things rattle through their head. But when we just say, I love your ideas, and we're not going to grow with that because we've got this other solution that's going to be a little bit more better. Communicate this way with your people, with your kids, with your employees, with everyone around you. You are encouraging them to make mistakes. Like it's okay to make mistakes. We live in such a fear of failure. We don't want to be kicked out of the club. We don't want to be kicked out of the community. We think that we're not going to be loved if we're not, because we've been conditioned, even just through schooling alone, where A's are like the high praise. If you get A's, you get the praise kind of a deal. Well, we want to be praised. So start praising different things. Praise creativity, praise ingenuity, praise innovation, right? Where you're encouraging those things, even if it doesn't solve the problem today, because someone might come in and offer this solution that you're not going to go with and isn't the right fit. But because of what they shared with you, it sparked an idea in your mind that gave you the solution that is the best fit. And had you not had that conversation, had they not felt confident coming in, giving you an unconventional solution and some crazy ideas maybe, had they not brought that to you, you never would have gotten to the right solution. So when you foster this kind of openness in your communication with your organization, with your employees, with your household, then you're just expanding and maximizing the opportunities that you have for solutions, okay? So it's really critical that you just maintain this openness and this willingness and this seeking to understand. And again, circle back on the words that you use really matter. So we say and instead of but. We say challenge instead of problem. This is a huge one where, well, we've got a problem. And instantly, your psychology, your subconscious mind instantly goes on alert. Like, oh crap, we're not going to be able to get through this. This is going to be hard. How are we going to overcome this? But when you say, I've got a challenge, right? And now this isn't, we deal with this a lot with C-suite where they're like, no, like I see problem as an opportunity. Well, okay, high achievers do. We just do. We've chosen to program ourselves. But when you're dealing with people on the lower levels of your organization, they may not have done all this self-development work. So when they hear problem, they're like, oh shit, we're not going to get through this. Like, what the crap? This is going to suck. And And they go down a rabbit trail of a fixed mindset, which I always show as a closed fist, versus a growth mindset, which is an open hand. We can receive things with an open hand. When we're fixed and we're like, oh, this is a problem, can't get through it. And now you've shut your mind. Where focus goes, energy flows. I wish I could remember who said that. I don't know who said that. But where focus goes, energy flows, right? So as you're focusing on, this is a problem, there's no solution, holy crap, how are we going to get through this? Your brain is a goal-achieving machine. It will achieve the goal. So whatever you give it, right or wrong, it's going to achieve it. If your brain is saying, there's no solution here, guess what? It won't get creative and come up with a solution. But if you say, oh, we've got a challenge. So if you're competitive like me, somebody says a challenge to me and I'm like, challenge accepted, right? Like game on, let's do this. And it becomes fun. It gives that inquisitiveness and that curiosity. And now I'm really curious and eager to solve the challenge instead of deal with the problem, right? So it just radically changes. One word, words really matter. We change one word, okay? And another thing that we always say all the time is we get to do this. We get to, I just was talking to my video guy this morning. What were we talking about?
It was like a corporate project that you worked on.
Oh yeah, yes. Okay, so a corporate project. For some reason, I didn't model all my corporate stuff like I had the rest of my business in the past. And so we're rolling out some killer stuff where we're gonna have this database of training that can be customized for every team, one person on a team. When I've got a team of 30 to 50 people, they all need different things. And so my model before was to do live trainings with them and cover one topic. Well, not everybody in that room might need that topic. So we're curating and cultivating this whole database of all of our training and updating it, re-recording it, and getting it all available. And I was like, it's totally overwhelming. Like this is a huge project. And he's like, oh yeah, well, how do you feel like that about that? And I had to quickly do a reframe out of oh my gosh, this is a huge project. I hope it doesn't, I don't know if I'm ever going to get this done, to I get to do this. I love doing this. And this is going to serve my clients so much better. I can't wait for them to, every single one of them is going to be able to have access to whatever it is that they need specifically that week. So we were reframing and saying, I get to do it. I'm so excited to do this. I can't wait for my clients to have access to this. And he was like, yeah, like that's a good way to reframe, right? And so communication is critical. I say all the time, you can't give or get what you don't have for yourself. If you aren't communicating in your head well with you and celebrating, we celebrate everything all the time. You'll hear me say it all the time, every time. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. When we're celebrating, the words that we're giving ourselves, the words that we're sharing with people really matter. 7% of our communication is done through words. So think of a text. Think of how many, or an email, how many miscommunicated texts and emails have caused so many hurt feelings with people and misunderstandings because only 7% of our communication is done through text. 36% of our communication is done through voice and inflection, right? Think of, oh my God, I've got a problem, or I have a challenge I get to overcome, right? The tone of voice that changes, it changes how we respond and how our brain responds to it. The remainder of everything is our body language. Think of, oh, I've got a challenge, like the forehead, we furrow our brow, we're frowning. Somebody who's like got the the resting bitch face, right? Like those people versus people who are happy and who are enjoyable and they smile. It just changes. It just elevates the energy in a room. I would challenge you to really evaluate how you communicate with people and even the nonverbal, your listening skills, because that's communication as well. You're telling people who you are, how important they are, whether you value what they're saying or not. So if you like our videos, subscribe to our channel. Share this if you know someone that might want to hear it, but don't be that guy that's like, hey, dude, you need to listen to this, right? Like, don't be that guy. Subscribe to our channel, hit the bell button to be notified, and we will see you on the other side.